everybody, it's Dan Martin. Today's video is going to be on how to fix over the top, probably one of the most common errors that we see in golfers, and generally causes like a big banana ball slice and a big loss of power. So I'm just going to describe it really quickly here, and then we're going to learn a new understanding of how force is directed to really help you get past over the top and start to get your golf club online. So basically over the top is, we're going to use this as kind of like my ball. Over the top happens when the player starts to rotate or move forces kind of in an outside motion. So they're trying to move them more towards what they're trying to hit or trying to get open to the target fast, and that changes the dynamic of the golf club. It makes it go over, and then of course if we can't hit the ball if our energy is going that way, so then our body readjusts, and it generally causes like a pulling in and a slicing, and the club face tends to open when we do that. And those are the natural compensations of an over the top. So if you have this issue, you know who you are and you know that you do it. Okay, now why you do it is that you don't understand how force is directed in a golf swing. And so I'm going to try to give you a much better image of what this is. And you need to know what is called the line of action. So the line of action is kind of based on impact basically, but it is, for simplicity, it's kind of your swing center, which is up here behind your chest, right in the middle of your torso. And it's like an imaginary line that's right to the golf ball or whatever you tend to hit. Okay. All force and action has to be directed parallel to that, not at what you're trying to hit. So when I get up to here at the top of the swing, I'm not trying to get at the ball. I actually need to direct the force parallel to the line of action. Okay? So my line of action looks like this. When I'm up at the top of the swing, what I do not want to do is I don't want to try to move my chest or my hands or the club head at the ball. I actually have to start to direct force parallel to the line of action. And this is why a golf swing starts to sequence a little differently. The only way to do that is to actually start to use your lower body and let it transmit into your thorax and your arms and the golf club. But every piece of me needs to feel like it's creating energy that's more parallel to the line of action, and then that's what comes through. So you'll notice when I do this, instead of my chest opening really fast and the club going over, I'm actually rotating, but I'm rotating, trying to kind of face that angle or that line of action, and then the force has a chance, and the club has a much better chance of coming in on plane and having a much more efficient delivery. From a face-on perspective, if I'm here, let me pull a golf ball in front of me. So my line of action is straight at kind of chest center, straight to the ball. When I get to the top, I don't want to move at the ball. I'm over here. So my intention for movement is back behind me, parallel to the line of action. So as my chest starts to turn, it's turning, kind of tracing that kind of diagonal line, which then allows my arms to trace that diagonal line, and finally the golf club. One more time from this view. I get to the top, I got my imaginary line of action. As my kind of hips start to unwind and my chest starts to go, my chest is tracing the line of action. My arm is starting to be parallel to that line of action, and finally the golf club comes into the line of action, and boom, you have a chance for a solid impact. So if you're a slicer, one of the best things you can do is invest in my training aid, the Pro. The Pro, because of its nature and the way that it works, because it's a rope, you have to direct force on the line of action to strike something. You have no choice whatsoever. The shaft on a golf club is a problem. It allows you to move the golf club and adjust from error. And so when you have an over-the-top issue, your initial starting sequence is just directing force in the wrong direction, but you can correct it, even though the correction is not what you want. It results in a slice. When I actually work with a rope and my impact pad and my Pro here, when I get to the top, I have to create energy that's parallel to the line of action. And so you can see my swing sequence changes dramatically. Here's what happens if I try to direct force like I would do with the golf club if I'm a slicer. See, my swing goes the direction that I try to apply force. And so because it's a rope, I can't change it, can I? So just by simply working on this exercise, you start to learn the trace of where your energy needs to come from. So more golfers would do so much more benefit for themselves in correcting over the top if they paid more attention to back here and knew where that line of action was and tried to get their forces to be parallel to that so the swing can finally run into the ball. So again, if you're a slicer, that's what you need to work on. You got to know where the line of action is. You got to learn how to make that trace. Hope you all found that helpful. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button.